What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my Forma building guide for this month's Hall of Forms featuring Fates units like Brave Camilla, Fallen Female Corrin, Fallen Male Corrin, and Hot Springs Hinoka. So we are going to be having skills up to the Legend Veronica and Embla banner, just like the Heroes Revival, because Mathis is the last added Grail unit, and Brave Camilla is definitely going to be a pretty popular pick out of this batch, because she does have her weapon refine in Sangrither, and she does have Dazzling Staff built into this weapon. She can also get plus 10 attack and speed in her player phase with this weapon refine, and after the combat she's able to have the gravity effect on the target and the foes within one space of that target. And then finally she's also able to inflict a huge range debuff on 3 rows and 3 columns for -7 defense and resistance debuff on the opponents. So that is pretty good, and that definitely allows her to support her allies even when she's not going to be in the combat. But still, things are pretty tough for the offensive staff units that do not really provide any kind of support like Elemine or Flame or something like that. So offensively, they do not have access to the specials and they do not have access to many of the skills, and you will have to run Wrathful Staff inner slot B unfortunately, and you cannot really run a Fortress skill and then just hit and run with the gravity effect. Kinda like what you can do with Summer Claude, but still she's one of the better staff units when it comes to being offensive, and this is as good as it gets for an offensive staff unit. So if you're a big fan of Camilla and if you want to get a copy of her, then there are definitely a couple of skills that you can run. So Attack Speed Catch is going to be the amazing slot A skill which you can run, and it is going to be having good synergy with the debuffs that you can do with her weapon refine. And Attack Speed Unity can also be run, especially if you go for the Oath 4 skill. And even though ultimately you're going to be running Wrathful Staff inner slot B, I think it's still pretty good to pick up Fortress just for some fun stuff. Maybe it can help in some kind of limited hero battle or something like that. So it can definitely be helpful. And you can actually get her preferred weapon and save 200 divine dues in the process if you haven't already refined her. But if you have refined her, then it doesn't really matter. You can just try and get like Grand Scratcher Plus as an alternate weapon for fun. Her weapon refine is pretty much going to be the best weapon as it is. That is going to be helping her. And finally, for her Slotsy skill, she can run Speed Resistance Hold, which is going to be pretty helpful to get the consistent debuffs on the opponent. And the 3 range of the debuffs is also going to be helping you support your allies, and she can already support pretty well with the visible debuffs, and now she can also do with the in-combat debuffs. Getting Return Plus or Rescue Plus on her as an assist is going to be really helpful, and it really changes a lot of these staff units, because having a mobility assist on a staff unit is really helpful if you use them a lot, and you can just run a Bomb Plus skill like Windfire Bomb when you try to get a premium special. Now you can actually get this kind of build from the Divine Codes itself, as you can get Attack Speed Catch for the Speed Resistance Fortress, and we did get a free Plague in Tharja, so you can just run Speed Resistance Rain on her and pretty much get this build without really, using your Forma Soul. So if you can get this build with the Divine Codes, and if you want to have something more premium, then I think that you can try and get Attack Speed Unity as the slotty skill and run the Oath 4 skill. So that is going to be a lot harder to get than this build, but this build is going to be something which most Brave Camillas run, because the Cat skill does provide you with the most offenses, and the Hold skill also has pretty good synergy. So it really depends. I just wanted to give that heads up that you can pretty much make most of this build from the Divine Codes. So if you want to get more premium stuff, that is definitely going to be an option. Fallen Female Corrin is the recent refined unit out of this batch, and she has got the Savage Breath weapon refined not that long ago. So this weapon does provide her with +3 attack, and now she can get more stats in the combat depending on the number of allies in 2 spaces, ×2, which is then subtracted by 7. So at max she can get like +7 to all of her stats, and at minimum she's going to be getting nothing. So she definitely has that kind of solo playstyle. And if the number of allies within 2 spaces of her is 1 or less, then she can just neutralize any kind of debuffs on her in the combat, which is really good because she's not going to be able to run a Unity skill because of the solo condition. So this is her way of pretty much getting rid of the debuffs on her. And then finally, she can also get +4 to all of her stats from the weapon refine depending on her HP. And she also gets Dragon's Wrath 5, which is going to be providing her with 30% damage reduction on foes' first attack, and also lets her do 30% true damage on her own attack, depending on her attack stats subtracted by foes' resistance, of course. So that allows her to basically one-shot with the true damage and also tank a bit better with the damage reduction. Overall, it's a decent weapon refine, and we can definitely pair it up with some of the premium skills that you can run on her. So you can definitely run attack speed finish on her slot A, because this is going to be giving you the offenses, the true damage, and also the healing. So that is everything that you can try and get while still maintaining the solo condition, because the proximity condition of the finish skill is pretty lenient in 3 spaces, while the weapons effect only counts up to 2 spaces. And you can again get the weapon refine here if you haven't already refined and save up 200 divine dues. But if you have already refined, then you can try and get Serenity Breath maybe as the fun weapon and as an alternate option. But still, you're going to be just running her preferred weapon at the end of the day. So don't really focus too much on her weapon if you have already refined it. And you can definitely try and run Dragon Strat 4 as the best slot B option for her, because it will be able to stack up with the damage reduction from her weapon refine multiplicatively, and also stack up the true damage additively. So this is going to be really doubling down on her strength with her weapon refine, and can give you more damage reduction and more one-shot potential. You can also run Panic Smoke in her slot C, because it can help her become even a bigger stat ball with the Plagian effect and the debuffs that she can try and get. But still, you can try and maybe run some other slot C skills like Attack Smoke 4 if you're not going to be running Null Follow Up, or even Speed Smoke 4 if you have her at like decent merges and decent Dragon Flowers. So at high investment, I would definitely recommend having Speed Smoke 4 so that she can get even more damage reduction and function in the mixed phase. Because of being a dragon, she cannot really have access to Ruptured Sky, and Blue Flame does not really make sense on her with the solo playstyle that she has got. So Ether is the only premium special that you can try and get, and because of being dragon again, she does not have access to Gale Force. So Ether is pretty much the, most premium special that you can try and get on her. But once you redeem her as a Forma unit, you can definitely try and run a lower cooldown special that can synergize well with the finish skill, maybe something like Glimmer or Moonbow. Fallen M Corrin is a blue infantry dragon and does have Brutal Breath as his preferred weapon, which does follow the solo playstyle of Fallen Female Corrin as well. So this weapon gives him +3 speed, and he can get up to +5 to all of his stats depending on the allies within 2 spaces. And if the number of allies within 2 spaces is 1 or less, then he can get guard effect on the foe in the combat. So yeah, this weapon is not really all that special in the modern times, and I would only suggest getting him as a Forma unit if you're patient enough for his weapon refine, or if you can give him the Arcane Grima Breath until then. And Arcane Grima Breath is definitely going to be helping him tremendously, and he's easily one of the better users of it because of his stat spread that he has got. So he's going to be pretty fast with that, and he's really going to be appreciating the effects that he can get out of that weapon. And you can also get a free merge on him if you get the combat manual in Divine Codes too. So if you want to run a build on him, it is going to be pretty similar to that of Fallen Female Corrin. You can just run Blackfire Breath or any kind of breath, honestly, because if you're going to be giving him Arcane Breath, then it doesn't really matter too much. And Arcane Grima Breath is not going to be available in the Hall of Forms, and for that matter, no arcane weapon is going to be available in Hall of Forms until the original wielder of that weapon is actually present in the same beta as well, which is probably not going to be happening anytime soon. So if you want to give him Arcane Grima, then you can maybe try and get Flame Tongue as the prerequisite, as it can pretty much save you some grails from foddering off Garen, who does have that as a prerequisite skill. If you're trying to fodder off multiple skills from Rearmed Robin, so it's something to consider, I suppose. And he just wants to have the finish skill Dragon Strat 4, and Attack Smoke 4 is going to be having good synergy with the guaranteed follow-up attack that he can get from Arcane Grima. So you can combine the follow-up negation of it and the effect of Arcane Grima and pretty much have an Omni Breaker, which is going to be really good. You can also try and get Panic Smoke 4, which I did recommend for the female version of Fallen Corrin. And Speed Smoke 4 again is going to be the best skill for these Corrins at high investment. So if you do plan to plus and merge him, then definitely try and get Speed Smoke 4 for the damage reduction and for the mixed phase. And again, Ether is pretty much the only premium special because the solo playstyle doesn't really favor Blue Flame, and they cannot have access to Gale Force or Ruptured Sky being a dragon. The final unit of this batch is going to be Hot Springs Hinoka, who's a green dagger flyer, and she's got Splashy Bucket Plus as the inedible dagger, which does have effective damage against dragons, and it does disable the adaptive damage and the Wrathful Staff skill. So only pick up this Hinoka if you really like Hinoka as a character, or if you plan to give her the Arcane Dagger whenever it comes out. Her offenses are nothing really to write home about, as it's base 35-35, and if you're going to be looking for a green Hinoka who can do a much better job, then we do have the pirate version of Hinoka, who's actually really solid. But still, if you're a big fan of her, then she's going to be needing a complete overhaul to her kit. You can try and get Vicious Dagger or Courtly Fan as the weapon for her because it does give you half null follow up. And another good dagger to look out for is going to be Florid Knife Plus, which does have the Fortress skill built into it. And if you don't really want to run a Fortress skill in her slot B and want to run something else, then Florid Knife is also going to be an option. As she's a dagger unit, you can definitely try and get lethality on her, and I'm pretty sure that Arcane Dagger is going to be having minus on special cooldown, so if it does give you some kind of special charges or anything like that, then lethality is definitely going to be proving to be pretty useful as a pickup. And you can also try and get attack speed catch 4, which is going to be giving you the max offenses, and it does have good synergy with the innate dagger debuffs. Attack speed Unity can also work, especially if you try and get attack speed Oath with her, and you can also get the Fortress skill as the best premium option for her because range flyers don't really have too many options, and if you do end up running Florid Knife, then Seal Defense 4 is going to be your option. Finally, for her slot C, she can run the Hold skill for the consistent debuffs and also stack that up with her Fortress skill, and attack speed Oath 4 and attack speed Menace are also going to be the options that you can run for her slot C. Next month, we're going to be having 3 Houses Hall of Forms, and these are all of the potential candidates. But if I had to narrow this down to like 8 units, then I would pick these 8 units. I think that the normal version of Lysithea definitely has a pretty good chance because she is going to be getting a weapon refine in future, and they always like to refine Gamble. And I think that Winter Hilda also has pretty good option because she appeared in the free Ephemera manual, and they always, put the Ephemera manual units in the Hall of Forms every now and again. And she's also a 4-star focus unit. Not to mention, we just got Arcane Lance, so she's like the perfect unit for all of those criterias. And they are trying to put more and more recent refined units, I can see. Like they put Na, and they also put Fallen Female Corrin. Then Winter Sothis could also have a pretty good option because she did get a weapon refine recently. And Flane could also be an option because they like putting the staff units with preferred weapons, and Flane is going to be one of them. Now, Summer Mercedes, you guys know how much I really like her, and I'm very close to plus and merging her, and I've not just put her there because I really like her, I've put her because I genuinely think that she has a decent chance. The reason being is that we just got Arcane Eclipse, so she could be one of those rare seasonal units that, they can try and have in this patch, similar to how Hot Springs Hinoka is in this Fates patch. So that's why I think that Summer Mercedes could have a decent chance. Petra could also have a decent chance because she has appeared in Ephemera Manual, same reason as Hilda, and also has got her weapon refined recently. And then we can also have Halloween Rhea because she is in the Divine Codes, and they always put Divine Codes units here and there. Like in this batch itself, we have got Fallen Male Corrin, and then Plagian Raphael I think has a pretty decent chance as well when it comes to the colorless pool. So come back next month to see if I was right or wrong, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to share this with your friends if they're trying to build up any of these Forma units. And if you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Wrathful Staff against Mystic Boost. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.